very good morning, Level 7A, and welcome back to our online learning program. How are you doing today? Good. I'm glad you're doing well. Okay, have you had a great day yesterday? Because yesterday was your day off, right? It was Thursday, your day off. Right. Did you go somewhere? Or did you just stay at home? Well, I didn't go anywhere either. I stayed at home, do a bit of work, and maybe clean the house. I cleaned a little bit of my house, so that's good. Right, have you done your homework? Please make sure that you've already done your homework and send your homework in to me so I can check them, okay? It's important to always do your homework. Now, for these last few days, most of you, some of you, well, a lot of you actually, haven't sent me any of the classwork yet. Even only the same few people who sent me, about three students who sent me their work since the holiday. All right, so please make sure that you send me your homework as soon as you finish them, all right? Okay, so what day are we on today? Yeah, that's right. Today we're on Friday, September 25th, 2020. Good. So for session 1 today, we're going to be looking at Speaking Tutor 1A. For today's class, we're going to be looking at and learning about 8 tips on how to speak English like native speakers. Okay, so it's very, very important to have English like native speakers, even though it's not as native speakers as it is, but it is close enough to become like a native speakers. So today I'm going to show you how you can be like a native speaker in speaking English, all right? But before we go there, let's do a quick lesson reviews on what we've done so far. Do you remember what we've done so far last time on our Speaking Tutor 1A? That's right, last time we were doing grammar focus. We're using yes and no questions, right? What does it mean, grammar yes no questions? You remember? Right. So when we were using yes no questions are made using the verb, right? With I'm, is, are, was, were, have, had, do, does, did, can, will, should, and more. At the beginning of the sentence, and namely subject and verb change the position in statement and questions. And we also did some examples of how to make yes no questions. So for example, if you have a statement, I am right, what if it's going to be a question? What's it going to be like? That's right. So am I right? So if it's a statement, I am right. If it becomes a question, it becomes am I right? Okay. And then you also ask to make some yes and no questions about the pictures. That was part of your homework as well. I hope you've already done that. Okay. Good. If you have done that, please send it to me because it's very important and I need to look at them. All right. A lot of you still haven't sent me yet. Okay, good. We're not going to go too far about our previous lesson. It's just a quick recap of what you've already learned in your Speaking Tutor 1A. Okay, so again, like I said, for today's lesson, we're going to be looking at 8 tips on how to speak English like native speakers. Okay, so it's very important to have the right accent, to have the right words when you come in to speak English. Okay, because a lot of Khmer people, well, generally Asians, are not... when it comes to pronunciation, it's very, very hard for them, especially with S at the end. A lot of Asian tends not to use S at the end of plurals. For example, cars, tables, doors, okay? So make sure when you speak a word that has plural at the end of the sentence, you need to make sure that you add an S. And also another one, a lot of people finds it very difficult to pronounce as well. It's the. Okay, it's not the, this, that, those. Okay, these. So it's very important to pronounce it correctly. Okay, so here's how 8 tips on how you can speak English like a native speaker. Now, let's go to tip number 1. Acquires the interest and accent. Okay, so like I said before, it's very important that you have the interest and accent. So all 3 play major roles. Remember, native speakers phrase and expression by repeating them using day-by-day communication. So it's very important now that sometimes with the same word, you can use them the same thing. You can use them daily. You can use them every single day by repeating them, okay? Especially while you're communicating with foreigners. All right, try to keep in touch with foreigners as well, right? So mostly when you're writing text messages, try not to write in short. Okay, so if you write full and try to read back, it's also part of your speaking skill as well. Okay, so talk more to them will break the jinx and make you accustomed of their diction. So modulation, intonation, and most importantly, culture and tradition. So once you get to know them, it's easy. Then it's easy for you as well. Because then you start to know about their culture, you start to know about their tradition, and that way you can keep talking to them, okay? Because a lot of native speakers, they use a lot of phrases and expressions in their language, not only in America, not only in Britain, but also in England, but also in other type of English-speaking native countries as well, like Canada as well, okay? So it's important to acquire the interest and accent. All right? Tips number 2. Retain vocabulary using these steps, 3 steps. Okay, so A, you can recall the context. B, retain the text. C, reproduce it in the test. Okay, so remember the words, phrase, and expression easily based on the context. All right? So it's very, very important that you recall the context, right? What does it mean to recall the context? So when you are talking about something, you need to remember what you've already talked about, right? So it's a long-term memory by consistent practice. One can speak like a foreigner when the accent is imitated by observation. Okay, so contextual language learning is the best technique, right? So it's good to have, after you talk to the person, it's good to recall them, to refresh the memory of what you've already talked about. That's also an important part of retaining the vocabulary, like phrases and words. Okay. Tip number 3, make the best use of technology. Now, a lot of people, when they move out technology, it's more like, oh yeah, let's play games, but with this kind of technology, what you can do is, with most of the smartphones, in recording your accent, phrase, and expression. So with your phone, you can actually do a speaking skill to yourself and then listen and play back. Okay? So then you can you can hear of what you actually talk about, and if something you've done wrong, okay, somewhere in the sentences that you've got it wrong, you can restart it all over again. Always play back and self-remedy by comparing it with the original spoken tape. So for example, if you were to take text from if you were going to take a text from, let's see, from a book, you can record it by reading it and try to make an accent, like a slowly accent out of it, and then try and play back to see if it's okay, right? Watch the videos by native tutors. So it's important when you go on YouTube and you're watching something, it's good to watch it with native speakers on tutorial, okay? Watch English movies and songs, not Korean, not K-pop. Okay, so watching English movies is also going to help you with your English speaking skills. And also music as well can also help you with speaking skills, because music is with lyrics. So when you read the lyrics and you remember the lyrics, it also can help you with the speaking skills as well. All right. Tips number 4, use idioms. What does idioms means? All right, so so native speakers uses a lot of idioms and phrases in their speaking communication. Idioms do not make sense when understood literally, but some of the examples are blink of an eye. So for example, very fast, or it's a piece of cake. So for example, an idiom is another way of saying that word, okay? So it's like a slang as well. So, oh, you just got here in a blink of an eye. So that means you came here very fast. Oh, this work is a piece of cake. What does it mean, a piece of cake? It's not like you're eating the cake, but you're referring that this work is very, very, very easy. Okay, so that one can add a level of sophistication to your English and make you sound more like a native speaker. Okay? So we have two idioms today. So idiom, it's more like a phrase that means the same as another phrase, okay? So like a word, for example, here it says blink of an eye. So that means very fast. Or piece of cake, it means very easy, okay? Tip number 5. Fine-tune your pace and clarity, okay? In order to sound more like a native speaker, English speaker, what you say is important as how you say it. Improve the pace, clarity, and stress and unstress the words for your speaking will go a long way in improving your fluency and help native speakers to better understand you, okay? So it's important that you have the sound, okay, that sounds right. You need the pace, you need the clarity, and you need stress. So for example, if I have to say a sentence, wow, today you look absolutely beautiful, okay? So here I'm stressing the words. I'm making this pace of the tone of the words, okay? So it's important that you need the pace tone of the words as well, right? Good. Tips number 6. Read aloud and get well with native speakers. Now, it's very important to read out loud of something that you've already written, okay? So that means it's a great way to work on clarity of your pronunciation. So when you're reading it, it's helping you to to give you a clear pronunciation. If you spend enough time listening to native speakers, okay, you will, you can mimic, meaning you can follow their accent as well. Sometimes, like a lot of my friends, for example, they've never been to Europe before in their lives, but most of my friends, they have an Australian accent, they have an American accent, and even though they've never been, even if they've been out of the country and visited the country for a month, you can't copy other people's accent very easily. I know a friend she's Cambodian, but every time she speaks English, she has this strange Australian accent. But don't get me wrong, she never lived in Australia before, but yeah, she has this Australian accent. And one of this Indian girl is a friend of mine. She also has a really strong Australian accent as well, but she never lives in Australia at all. So the thing is, because these people, they spend enough time with foreigner and they are able to contact and taken out the foreign accent, right? So allow your voice and raise forward the nature flow of the language. So once you spend enough time with native speakers, you are able to speak to them and to rephrase all what they say and hear the accent and then try to rephrase it yourself, okay? So it's important when you're doing, especially sometimes when you're doing writing, try to read it aloud to yourself. And if you have a chance to be with a foreign native speakers, that will be good. Get more communication with them, talk to them more, okay? Important. Tip number 7, get a slang. Well, I don't recommend you to use slang yet because Cambodian tends to get confused. But if you're familiar with it, slang is an easy, quick word, okay? So slang is course of communication. However, there are some examples of slang that wide range English speakers use. For instance, wanna, so it's want to, or gonna, going to. Hang out means to spend time together. So for example, in a sentence you say, do you want to hang out? Instead of native speaker, instead of saying, do you want to spend time sometimes together? They tend to say, do you want to hang out? Do you want to hang out tonight? You want to hang out later at a restaurant? So they use slang, okay? So slang is like a quick, easy word instead of using full word. So are you gonna go to the cinema tonight? So instead of saying, are you going to the cinema tonight? You can say, are you gonna go to the cinema tonight? Are you gonna go to the cinema tonight? So when you speak fast, like a foreign native speakers, you can't hear going to, okay? So you're gonna hear gonna, okay? Wanna, gonna, all right? Tips number 8. Well, practice makes it perfect. All said and done, practice the native speaker's accent and become confident and fluent users of English language. So the more you practice, the better it will become. Okay, so it's important. Please practice it, and it will become very, very easy for you in no time. The more time you spend with foreign native speakers, the English you will become better at. Okay, so English is important. It's a used worldwide language. Okay, it's spoken worldwide, right? Even in Cambodia, we use 90% of English as well, right? Aside from our own language. Okay, so everywhere you see a foreigner, every foreigner at least speaks English. If you don't speak their language, they all speak English. Okay, so it's important to get practice, plenty of practice. All right. Good. Well, that's all I have for you for Speaking Tutor 1A. Don't go away. I'll see you for Session 2 for Writing Bright 1. Goodbye. Bye-bye.